Okay, we're going to move to the Chief Financial Officer's report, and we're also going to move up budget questions to this time period so we can utilize Mr. McGinnis, who's in the audience with us tonight. And so, does that sound appropriate, Dr. Skinker?
Does.
And
Come on up to the mic, Tim. And
Who's that guy?
Tim McGinnis. I saw him walking in the parking lot. I said, hey,
Yeah.
you're a consultant now. You don't have to wear a tie. All of a sudden, next thing you know, the tie's off.
So, Scott, why don't
Yes.
you lead us with,
Sure.
utilize Tim as you need?
Okay. On page 11 of the board book is the CFO monthly report for...
Let's go to budget, Scott, on
Oh, you want to do
195.
budgets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we can come back to financials. Tim can stay for the financials, too, just because it's kind of summarizing a little bit end of June and July, right, Tim?
Fine.
That's on 195, Scott, if you have the updated one.
That's the page with the assumptions.
Correct.
Okay.
So now, just, why don't you quickly, just verbally, just summarize in short,
Okay.
what's changed from July to today?
Okay. All right, so what's changed from July to today has been the update with the general state aid projections out for FY17. All the salaries for the administrators have been updated. There has been some increase in the English and world language supply budgets to factor in for student enrollment in those particular sections. As far as calculating anything else out, really the major changes was the general state aid and the administrator salaries in it. The assumptions basically are the same as what were in July.
All right, overall format of the budget?
Hold on a second. Did you change the assumptions to compare the actual versus
Yes.
the budget? So the numbers are different then?
Yeah, they are different. In the July one, it was budgeted versus budget, and this one is the actuals.
Actual versus?
Yes.
It's 2017 budget versus the
Versus
2016
2016
actual.
actuals. So it is updated with numbers ending June 30th
Okay,
with it.
thank you.
So that should change some of the assumptions that were out there with it, just to kind of see more of a actual picture.
And the format of the budget, I noticed, we figured out that those columns were there. We just had to change out budget versus budget and go budget versus actual, correct?
Yes.
All right, do you want to start going through your questions?
Okay. All right. If you turn to page board book 196, you'll see the summary of it. We will be looking at a tentative surplus of $187,015 on that.
That surplus, though, is
Is
likely to go down once we
pending,
finalize the contract?
yeah, pending on negotiations, that number could potentially go down. Built in currently is 2% as a placeholder for all staff on it, so even though we had to have something just kind of to do some projections moving forward, and that's what the placeholder is. Okay, let's see here. Some of the questions from the budget, for example, in the ed fund under the revenue on board book 198, there is a decrease in the levy amount for the overall fund. Part of the reason on that is that there's going to be a switch from budgeting or levying in the ed fund. We're going to move 200,000 of that and put it into the transportation fund, and then also instead of levying for an additional 100,000 in O&M, that's going to be levied for 100,000 in transportation to make up for the deficit that was been running in that fund. So you
The
will see
transportation fund?
in the transportation fund.
But you
yes.
talked about 3 funds, so.
Yeah, so you're taking 200,000 potentially that you could have levied in the ed fund and 100,000 in the O&M fund, and that 300 total will be levied in transportation. A question came up, can you levy a higher percentage out there? Yes, that is a non-capped fund, so you can levy higher than 5% and not have to worry about that.
Which fund?
The transportation.
Please say that as you're talking. Keep
Sorry.
talking about 3 funds. It's-
Yeah.
we wanna make
So
sure.
there was a question, can you increase your levy roughly 70% on it? Yes, you can.
For transportation?
For transportation.
Then why are we levying less than the other 2 funds?
Because overall your levy, you can only levy for what CPI is.
Okay, so
So-
let's take a step back.
Okay.
What if I wanted to take money out of the transportation fund and put it in the ed fund? Could I lower, levy less in transportation and put more in education as long as I?
As long as you're not over that cap.
Okay, so it doesn't matter which fund. You can, what you're saying is you can change the levy between
Mhm.
funds as long as you don't
Over your
exceed the
caps.
cap for all of them.
Yes, and
Okay.
caps for each particular fund.
So then no, that's not what I asked you. That's not how you answered the first time.
Okay,
So there is a cap per fund?
yes.
And there is a cap in
Depends on the
total.
funds.
Which funds don't have a cap?
You have no cap on the IMRF, transportation, but you are capped on your ed fund, your O&M fund.
And since we've always reached the cap all the time, in order to put more in transportation, we have to take something out of a different fund.
Yes.
Okay.
Tim, you concur?
Yes.
Just
That
wanna
was what
make
we
sure.
decided last December when we did the tax levy, we would move money from education and operations and increase the levy in transportation.
So good job, Scott.
Okay, question on the page 199 for food service. Per the intergovernmental agreement, this is the cost that we have that we bill out for meals served to the different districts on that. And then also, we do collect a percentage of sales from Quest on overall sales of food in the contract. Also on 199 was a question on student technology fees. This year, there will be an additional grade level that will be getting the Chromebooks.
Hold on, I had to find the page because you sent a new package out and the numbers are different.
Board-
So-
199 on the board book.
On the new,
On
the
the
current one.
Yes,
But it was 201 on the original one.
yes.
So it's the question on the food sale IGA District 9495.
Mhm.
So we collected 13,000 actual last year and we're budgeting 0. I didn't understand that your answer responded to that question.
I think that the 13,000 should have been in the account above that. So we collected, on commissions, we collected 43,000.
Okay, so it went, we booked something in the wrong
Considered an
account.
account.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, like I said, on that page was the,
Pay to participate in sports.
okay,
We collected $80,000 and we're budgeting $150,000.
yes. And then as our free and reduced counts continue to fluctuate, the pay to participate fees are fluctuating on that.
So we think they're gonna go down like 25% between last year. We think our free and reduce are gonna go up by 25% this year.
And that also, again, has to deal with participation in the sports. So, as, you know,
I'm not suggesting it be different. I'm questioning why is it going down
That's the
by
assumption. That's-
25%?
Tim, why did you
I
budget
think,
that?
I think, as we talked about last month, some of these numbers were kind of set up back in April and May, looking at what we had collected at that point in time.
That's why we like to look at the actual
So this
and
is.
see how our budget compares to actual. But even the budget was 180. We actually almost came in exactly the budget.
Yeah.
We were off by $400. But now we're lowering for next year by $30,000, which is exactly 20%. It's 1/5.
Right, I think.
So
I
nobody
don't
told
think-
us the free and reduce is going up that much, that we should be doing 1/5.
I don't think when I set the budget number that it looked like we were gonna get to 180. Which is
Okay.
why I dropped it to 150, but that's one of the numbers that we can't look at now that we have the June numbers
Okay.
in there and say that we might
Needs
want
to
to
be
increase
adjusted.
that number.
Might be low.
Correct, yeah. Got it noted.
And then on the flip, the next one, I'll just save you. On the registration fees, we budgeted 290 last year, we collected less than 260, and now we're budgeting 290 again. Now, we are gonna have more students, but not very many,
Not
right?
bad. Yeah.
One of the issues we deal with student registration fees is the payment plans and collection of some of those fees, correct? Do you think that's large enough to represent, to have this still at 290? Do you think we finish each year chasing roughly 32,000? So maybe, Scott, you could look at that historicals and see where that's at.
Collection is.
Right. Just go off of the actual numbers, the historical budgets are on the website.
Okay. Okay, also on that page, you will see the revenue side for the English books and the world language books. It's also reflected on the expenditure side in the actual department budgets there for supplies. So what you have for the expense accounts, you also have with the revenue accounts.
That's for English and world language this year.
Yes.
So the board, I don't know if you remember, we talked about this briefly. This will be the first two accounts we're going to try to, we've used in the past, even before I got here, the student fees that are collected for those classes and lab fees or paperback book fees, etc. Those dollars were normally held in an activity account, and then as the teacher ordered those books or paperbacks through our bookstore, and a check was cut or a transfer was made. The issue with that is there's no budget, there's no way to budget and offset 20%, roughly 20% of free and reduced lunch, and don't have to pay fees. And so we had a couple of those two activity cuts in particular were running in the reds, almost $10,000. So by shifting them to an actual district revenue and expenditure account, on the expenditure side, we could account for not only the fees we anticipate to collect, but we could also add the additional dollars on the expense side to offset the books that need to be purchased and for the free and reduced lunch kids. So that's why we moved it into, it's a first trial, that's why we only did 2 departments. The goal would eventually be to move all departments, because eventually all departments are going to start running a negative budget if every year they're overspending what they're collecting. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Okay. Next question, Scott.
Okay, in the operations fund on page 200, there is a slight decrease of 100,000 levied out of it, and then also last year Aramark gave a $165,000 donation on that, on the revenue side for re-upping on the service agreement with the cleaning. Page 201 reflects the increase in the transportation for the additional 300,000 levied. On page 202, there was a question on the bonds. Had a meeting with William Blair, and it's looking like the bonds will be looked at towards the summer of 2017 for anything additional.
And for refi.
And for refinancing, yes.
So not during the next fiscal year, during the following fiscal year?
Correct. They're not callable till December of
2017.
2017, which is FY18.
Okay, on board book page 203, you'll see a decrease in our insurance costs. After running the census that we have of our current employees, per what our demographic is, it shows a decrease.
How comfortable are we with that number? I'm sorry, it's just insurance.
I mean, it's, as soon as, like, say, for example, an employee leaves, a new one comes in, it's updated as soon as they're hired.
So the insurance company gives
So,
us guidance.
We have to give the census to the insurance company, so.
Tim, I thought we were gonna-
This comes out of the position control document that we do that is kept in our office, where it literally compares last year with the year we're going into. For every employee in every department, it has their health insurance that they pick, life insurance, dental insurance they pick. So we've got, the numbers for medical and dental and life insurance are good numbers, because
Good.
you know
Aren't we
each
seeing
employee
about
what
a
they have.
2% increase in premiums though?
A little, yeah, I think it was a little bit more than that, but there was a little increase in premium. We've had some changes in personnel and the coverage that they're carrying.
And this has been updated with the recent personnel that we're talking about?
Yes. Yeah. As
Well,
soon as-
it hasn't been updated with
But-
we have some final
Right.
teachers being hired tonight.
Right.
Yeah. But as they come in with their paperwork, it will be updated.
All right, so we should probably just put a highlight on this number and look at it one more time before
Medical.
September's approved. This is one of those numbers that we'd try to be sure we're erring on the right side of caution. And so if that needs to be closer to 1,300, just to be safe, considering we collected 1.318, maybe we should
Look at
at
it.
least do 1.3, but let's look at it.
On board book 206, there were some questions on the sponsors.
What count number is it?
Let's see here.
10-1130 dash,
Yeah, I don't know how you said sponsor. It doesn't say sponsor anywhere here.
Organizational
Says-
sponsors and class sponsors, so.
Where does it say organizational? plan
the
sponsor?
top line.
6-1 down.
Function column.
10, 30, 12, 20, 13, 600, and 610. High school stipends,
And the
organizational
function
sponsors,
column.
class sponsors.
C-Team, Clarion.
The column just
Mauser,
before the
Gamma.
numbers.
I got it.
What was the question submitted, Scott?
Just the fluctuation in the difference. If Tim could help me out on that one.
Yeah, when I looked at the organizational sponsors last year, that may be that one of the clubs that we have was charged to a different account instead of being charged to that account. And the same would be true for the drama stipend.
I think
What page?
also with some of the organizational sponsors, if they get over,
206 of the new
if they get over 8 years of service, they then get a different increase in salary. So we're looking at only a difference of roughly, 8%, about $8,000 and change. But one of those things too that could be accounted for that is
Yeah.
the changes in sponsors and the number of years they have.
And there were some questions on special education, as far as where counselors were going to be paid from. There was a shift from student services to special education, so that's accounting for 2 FTEs in those departments, so you'll see the difference.
Social workers.
It's
Yeah,
social workers.
So
Okay.
the social workers were normally paid out of student services.
Now they're under special education. Okay.
Because majority of their time is focused on case minutes and case management of special needs, special education students.
So we changed, what I'm confused is, you might have mentioned, you changed the format of the second report from the first one that went out too. The columns are in different order, aren't they?
They shouldn't be.
They are. Okay, is that where it was, 159? I'm trying to figure out what page.
So the only thing I think that changed is the last two columns all the way where the numbers are, instead of it being budget versus budget, it's now budget versus actual. But none of the text should have changed. Next question. Scott?
Okay, there was an increase on board book page 215 for board professional services. That is reflecting the CFO mentor agreement and the utilization of Tim McGinnis.
Okay.
Okay?
On page 218, there is a decrease in LADSI costs. Basically on those, LADSI changed how the IDEA grant is going to be paying for some of their personnel, and it changed the cost that we have incurred for the district here. And then on page 221, just so that everyone knows, there's a question about how do we break up what the current project is for the gym renovation. So you're gonna have, in the capital projects, there is a general trades section. That is where it's budgeted for the capital side. And then the life safety side, you'll see it has bleachers. So the ratio on that one is 71% capital, 29% life safety.
Why aren't we doing it the same way we did the stadium, Kevin? Why aren't we breaking it down by floor, bleachers?
We do that on the construction document.
Okay.
Are you saying that, or,
Well, everything on the bleachers is down in life safety, because that's part of life safety. Okay. and the-
so maybe that needs to say gym bleachers?
Okay.
Well, we've had long discussions, and Gary was one of the proponents out here, how we were gonna break it down because of the problems they'll pass construction about what the various components cost. So we spent time breaking it, making sure it was by stadium, field, whatever. There's like 10 or 12 components out there, right? So I don't understand why we aren't doing something similar here. So somebody wants to know how much the main components are the bleachers and the floor.
So what we should be doing, Scott, and it's just a text, a minor edit to the text, under the capital projects part. Tim, there shouldn't be any more payments for architect fees coming out of capital projects for last year's project, correct?
Correct.
So when we get to general trades, it should say gym general trades. The only, I think what they're looking for though is so that it would show like gym floor.
I know that's broken down on the construction worksheet with who the
Right, but
contracts
but
are.
you see how, do you
in
see
here, I know
how,
that they want to have it broken down on here.
You know,
Right.
as far as I'm concerned.
As long as you
we
have it.
somewhere and
Yeah.
we keep it, I'm okay.
As long as you have it, we
I
can.
agree, as you can refer to it.
right?
But the,
Maybe
We-
change the general trades to main field house or,
Gym,
Gym.
general trades, gym.
Okay.
yeah. And then bleachers, gym.
Right, under life safety,
Life
gym
safety,
bleachers.
yeah.
And then it would say the same for roofs. So the roofs is really the only, I mean, technically that's gonna be an overlapping year after year for 2 or 3 years.
right.
So under each budget, you would just add something after, so it'd be maybe roofs 2016,
Yeah.
you know?
As you're going along with the roofs, you're updating the survey. the
Correct.
Roof survey,
Right,
so that you can open the drawer and tell
What's left.
when the roof went in.
right.
But like Ed said, as long as you have a source document that ties into those numbers, to me, that would be what we're trying.
We should update both, just to be safe.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
There was no further questions on tentative budget.
Tim, how's he doing?
Doing good.
Okay.
That's all.
Tim just sitting back there and
What I
laughing.
got here.
Can you
No.
go back to the, what about the utilities?
Oh, the utilities, okay.
Can you give us a page, Scott?
Let's see here, the
I can't tell.
utilities. Under cap, okay, so on board book 218. The consortianism that we go through gives you a projected, I guess, usage for the whole year as to what your bill is gonna be. And you can only really go off of what they kinda give you. And it can fluctuate.
So, I mean, they were off.
So the 120 we-
70,000.
The 120 we put in last year they gave us, and we came in at 64. And now we're coming up to 100 on gas. Oh, wait, that's.
I'm looking at,
the-
I'm looking at electricity was
What
off
page
pretty
is
good.
Yes, we're coming down to 100.
Yeah, I know where it is then. What'd you say? What page? 218?
218.
So our electricity last year was at 350, and we came in at 473, so we were off pretty good there.
Yeah.
And they gave us a new projection, Tim, of 453.
Yes.
And they gave us the 350 from the year before?
Not sure if I got the 350 from them or not.
Okay. But they're giving us the 453.
And the 100,
On the utilities,
yes, on the natural gas.
I guess.
All right.
Was that the last question?
No, I have two more
Reasonable to me.
questions.
I didn't hear.
I have two more questions. I just couldn't keep up with the pages. On, I don't know what page it is. It's the first page of the.
What
rec-
page?
I don't know what page it is because I put the comments on the first draft and I've read the second one, but I can't quickly put them together. So it's the first page of expenditures.
Okay.
Would that be 203, Scott?
Might be.
It is 203.
On the high school English and high school foreign language, we're going from 4,200, in English from 4,253 to 69,000. Maybe you answered this and I misunderstood you.
That was the fees.
Yes,
That was,
those are
that's for the fees.
Those two.
So both of those are because we're moving the expenditures into there.
And accounting for uncollected fees for the free and reduced.
Okay. And then, Kevin, could you explain what our plan or logic is on the percentage of expected property tax revenues we're going to take in?
So we did get one question on that and just on more or less what our historicals have been. So as I shared with the board a little bit in the beginning, the last few years we've budgeted for 97% property tax collection. So I'm going to have Scott pull 4 years historical of what we actually collected in hard dollars and see what that comes in at and see if we should adjust from 97 to closer to 98 or 99 or actually stay at 97. So the minor changes that we discussed tonight, we'll update those headers. We'll put an updated tentative budget on the webpage for the public to view. And then we'll have the historicals at the September meeting to discuss on whether or not it's worth keeping at 97% budget for tax collection or if we should go closer to 98.
Well,
Okay? And, you know, some of that offset will be in money collected, and then, as I said, we don't have any set dollars in there for salaries yet, so it will most likely get washed, but it would be a matter of whether or not that washes to a surplus or a deficit. So if you can give us a few weeks, we'll get that out to you.
Okay.
Okay. Will that take care of the budget discussion?